Oh my goodness. So the whole thing with Jay-Z and Beyonce, I feel like their empire, their admiration, their respect, their awe, I think all of that is waning. And I think the concert that Jay-Z had this past weekend with him bringing out every artist that he could think of to come and join him on the stage for his little concert just made everybody realize, but these people are not all that. So in recent times, we all know that the Target boycott is on, and several people who have come out to speak on behalf of the community, even though they don't have that permission, have tried to come out and say, hey, Target is over, the boycott is over, we're good now. Include, for example, Pastor Jamal. He tried to do that and everybody told him to go sit down somewhere. We did not cancel that boycott. And now recently Jay-Z goes and tries to make some type of deal. Hey, we can work things out with Target. Nobody put him in that position. Nobody asked him to go and be the spokesperson for Black people, but he put himself in there and said, I'm gonna put my album in this vinyl record and it'll only be sold at Target, thinking, oh, the Black community is gonna run down there like a stampede and just buy the album and act like the boycott with Target never happened. Red flag. Now he realized, now the Black community is canceling him, because after all, we did not say that you could go and make a deal with Target and see that's what we want, and then to come and rush in there and buy out your album just to give Target business. Absolutely not. So right now, Jay-Z and Beyonce is not only just getting canceled, but now everybody's realizing, you know what, these people were just never about anything. They were never meant nothing. They never stood for anything. It was always business for them. And they always went and sold the community out. So a lot of people and a lot of opinions are weighing in as to how they feel about this couple.
What's interesting to me is that I'm fairly certain that Jay-Z recognizes that the clock is ticking and he's on borrowed time in terms of his career. So yeah, it's time to wrap it up, because the grace that he was once afforded, even the admiration that he was once afforded 15, 20, 30 years ago, is melting away very quickly. I think he thought that he would always have the Gen Xers, but no. There will be some that will be diehard supporters, right? Willing to sacrifice their own dignity to sit at the knee of their idol. But the rest of the Gen Xers who continue to critically think and evolve and recognize a grifter when they see a grifter, yeah, they're not interested. In fact, in other areas of their life, they are doing the work to dismantle capitalism, patriarchy, all the things. And so when all of those systems crumble, so will he. There's nothing ethical or principled about that man, like every other billionaire. The millennials, they're iffy, right? They're like, oh yeah, button downs, I remember that. But they're not so invested. And then Gen Z, no. You didn't, reach back and pull them up so that you could at least have that built-in audience. So I don't know if you are just planning to pass the crown to your daughters, your sons, but nobody's interested. We're not interested in Hollyweird, respectfully. So you've got to decide, how do you want to go out? The once king of rap who siphoned everything from his own community, or the, I don't know, ethical billionaire who came back and did way more and gave way more than he took.
Oh, you boycott. You posted on Instagram? That's meta, boys.
I am so sick of Jay-Z. Jay-Z knows he's being disingenuous. And he has people in the comments agreeing with him. And it just really upsets me. Jay-Z, now you know the boycott was against Target, okay? Target is one organization. Anytime you do a boycott, boycotts have to be targeted. No pun intended. Not only that, We live in America, a country that has allowed massive monopolies, and is literally, our whole country is owned by 5 organizations. Amazon hosts half the internet, which is why when Amazon Web Services was down a couple months ago, the internet was down. It's literally almost impossible to boycott Amazon itself with getting on the internet. You would have to boycott the internet. 2, Jay-Z has done this numerous times, right? Nobody said you have to boycott everything. He knew there was a boycott of Target. He specifically chose to do that on purpose, as he always does. He did the same thing with the NFL and said we're past kneeling. He does this every time. When our ancestors boycotted, they didn't boycott everything. They had a strategic boycott of the buses. They focus on the buses. And that's why it works. It's impossible to boycott everything. That's like, this is not a purity test. We know that. And the people who are agreeing with him, y'all honestly, to me, want an excuse not to do nothing. And y'all don't need that excuse. Just don't do anything. Like, what's the problem? But I don't understand feeling the need to talk down or to berate the people who choose to boycott, or be like, oh, because I never boycotted. Congratulations. Like, that's just so weird to me. And you can't tell me at this point that he's not doing this on purpose. I just reject the notion that because we can't do everything, we shouldn't do anything. That's just my opinion.
I really don't enjoy making videos talking bad about black people. But Jay-Z thought he snapped with this one.
Instagram, that's meta, boy. Stop it. Y'all know Google owns YouTube. You picking and choosing the politicking as usual.
This is what he sounds like. Now, Miss Rosa Parks, I know you're not just gonna boycott the buses. You ain't down. What about the grocery stores? They segregate us. Oh, so you just not gonna do the pharmacies and the restaurants. Rosa, you really only gonna do the buses? Girl, you know I work for the bus company. The Montgomery bus boycott targeted one business. Then they organized a carpool system of hundreds of drivers. Because 70 to 75% of Montgomery's bus riders were black, they were able to cripple the industry. And it took them 381 days of targeted discipline. I mean, Jay, I get what you're saying. There's been times where I wondered if Target is where we should really be putting our energy. There's so much to resist. But crossing the picket line and then blaming your critics for using Instagram, YouTube, TikTok to tell our story, as if there's other modes of communication to get to the masses quickly, as if we don't want an alternative. I mean, I didn't hear that you back black-owned fan base or Palestinian-owned Upscroll, so you're arguing that the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house, and that activism on social media is just politicking as usual. But you dissing Colin Kaepernick, saying he took the check after you took the job to sideline his movement, so you could book the Super Bowl halftime show? Brother, at this point, we're just noticing patterns. I'm glad you got money. I'm glad you sold out Yankee Stadium. Get your money, black man. But you say you're the one that they cannot control. And I really can't tell the two of you apart.
I don't know if everybody watched Empire, but do y'all remember Empire when everybody was coming for Lucius Lyon's family and they started doing all this stuff to get in the media and be in good standing? That's what the Carter family is giving me, because why the fuck is a teenage Carter fucking with a 41-year-old Tommy from Zeus Network? Why is Mama Tina selling seafood boils that are making people throw up blood? Now Jay-Z's gonna do a sympathy concert at the Yankee Stadium gargling spit with his camel face ass trying not to shoot it at everybody. Since the Carter's name popped up in them files, they've been acting real jumpy, doing everything but not answering nothing. These niggas sent their mama out and had her making seafood boils of death. Do you know how many seafood boil videos get made a day? How many people eat seafood boils in a year? And your ass done made the first seafood boil to tear somebody's insides up. When I tell you the health department came up in that Shrek Shack and said they saw raw fish and frozen fish and all types of shit on the ground in buckets that wasn't supposed to. Tina, they said you was putting seashells and clam shards inside that soup. Had that shit spitting in people's stomachs like glass in a blender. Then we got the young Carter popping out at the gay clubs doing appearances, then complaining that everybody associates him with being gay and gay people. Nobody was worried about what your sexuality is, Sir Carter, Mr. Carter. Then they say, you know, he's out with cougars. He pops out with Tommy Lee, who's twice his age and always appears to be under the influence of some substance. Stop making out with her behind cars in the middle of the street. I just know what's crumbling over there. When you see billionaires do something, especially something that's not planned out as far as like opening a business or start doing random appearances, or their little niece start coming out to clubs doing talent shows, but their family is supposed to be the richest family on earth, something going on. Then we have Jay-Z, who I feel like really hasn't made a song of substance since Niggas in Paris. Won't answer any questions in the media about his name being in the files, but wants y'all to buy concert tickets not knowing if him and his wife be over there eating children and shit. We do not want you to get up on that stage and rap. We want you to get up on that stage and start answering questions in the crowd. Who am I kidding? Jay-Z gonna get out on that stage and have Blue Ivy come out there and start doing a robot or something. He's not gonna take no accountability. I don't know, cousins. Comment and let me know what you think. Why have the Carters been joining all these circus shows recently? How did Mama Tina make the world's most deadly gumbo? Why in the hell was there scraps of food on the ground in bowls? I don't know, cousins. Comment and let me know what you think. If you'd like to show some love and support, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit the like and follow button for me.
Was Jay-Z sent by the white elites to puppeteer the black community? So Jay-Z has made a lot of questionable decisions over the years that I think went over a lot of our heads at some point. But now with this new revelation that he's not only in the Epstein files with a very serious allegation, but also to know that Jeffrey Epstein and his colleagues were talking about Jay-Z quite a bit. And it seems as though they admired his business model, hence this email right here. This email from Jess Staley, who is this man, to Jeffrey Epstein, basically is alleging that the only reason America isn't in an uproar with a bunch of protests and, taking over the government is because the group that would be doing that, black people, have been bought off by Jay-Z. Now, there's no mention of whether or not this was a plan of theirs, if they sent him to do that, but there are certain instances and circumstances throughout the years that could lead us to that conclusion. For example, when Brooklyn wanted to build the Barclays Center, there was a lot of pushback from people who lived there. They said that it would basically take away housing from poor black people. So what did they do? Well, they brought Jay-Z in. Now, he only had a small percentage of ownership in the Barclays Center. The rumors are that it's between 0.5% and 1%, but they promised him ownership, which he toted and bragged about for years. And Jay-Z was basically the face of the Barclays Center. Black people in Brooklyn eventually got on board with the idea of the Barclays Center coming to Brooklyn with the promise of it providing jobs and things like that. But the major reason was because Jay-Z was involved and they saw him as the face of it all. They saw Jay-Z being the guy that was trying to build Barclays Center for Brooklyn, despite the fact that he only had 0.5% of ownership in the company. Jay-Z eventually went on to sell his ownership in the Barclays Center several years later, but there is another example of Jay-Z possibly selling us out. Back in 2016, when Colin Kaepernick took a knee to protest police brutality against black people in America, everyone was up in a roar. White supremacists were saying that they couldn't believe he did that and wanted him punished. Black people were applauding him for doing it and took his side. The NFL was in a very, very sticky situation, and they had people from both sides that they kind of had to answer to. On one hand, you have white supremacists who are threatening to never watch the NFL again, boycotting games, burning their jerseys. And then on the other hand, you have black people who stood with Colin Kaepernick and basically said that they would do the same if he was punished for his protest. Both fan bases were extremely needed in order for the NFL to succeed. And somehow the NFL was in the middle of all of this. They had to make both parties happy. So what did they do? Called in Jay-Z. They got Jay-Z to basically make a statement and say, it's time for us to move past this protest. It's been 3 years. Nothing has come of this. We need to move forward. Colin Kaepernick had been ousted from the NFL. So white supremacists were happy, but black people weren't. So they brought Jay-Z in to basically smooth that over and say, Jay-Z, the guy you love, is now going to be taking over the halftime show, and we're going to be basically making it more diverse. This prompted Colin Kaepernick's fiance, Nessa, to basically say that she felt that Jay-Z was being used in order to puppeteer the black community and railroad Colin Kaepernick and his protests. Now, at the risk of sounding like a Jay-Z defender, which I am not, I will say that I do think the Colin Kaepernick protest took on a life of its own, and not in a good way. The original protest was about police brutality against black people in America. But instead of that being the focal point whenever anyone spoke about Colin Kaepernick, the focus point then became Colin Kaepernick losing his job. The new protest was about Colin Kaepernick getting his job back instead of the protest being police brutality against African Americans in America. So I have to say that I agree with Jay-Z a little bit there on that one little part because it was time to move forward. But I just don't agree with the way in which he went about it. I mean, I think the NFL could have also included some initiatives or legislation that they were working on to try to stop police brutality in America. In November of 2019, Colin Kaepernick held a last-minute independent workout in Georgia, moving it from a planned NFL organized session at the Atlanta Falcons facility to a nearby high school, citing concerns over the lack of transparency and an unusual waiver. Kaepernick shifted the event to allow media access. Despite showing his elite arm strength, no team signed him, turning the event into a major controversial standoff. Colin, as well as fans, were alleging sabotage And the NFL was alleging that Colin was being difficult and uncooperative. Side note, a friend of mine was actually involved in that event and did tell me, and I don't want to sound like a Jay-Z defender because I'm not, but my friend did tell me that Jay-Z was very pivotal and was a huge part in trying to make that tryout happen for Colin Kaepernick. And they were working behind the scenes to get him on a team. So I just want to be fair. I just want to be fair and say that part. But maybe Jay-Z should have reached out to Colin Kaepernick and his team and let him know what he was planning and what they were trying to do. Maybe that should have been what he did instead of trying to do it in secret behind the scenes, because I think it was just like a communication thing. And Colin Kaepernick was alleging sabotage. And so that made all the fans say sabotage when really in the background, Jay-Z was trying to help Colin Kaepernick. So I do see why some people look at Jay-Z sideways when it comes to the things that he's done in the Black community. But after knowing that Jeffrey Epstein and his elite friends were basically praising Jay-Z for how he handles and puppeteers the Black community, it's kind of hard not to look at him sideways and wonder if he knew he was being used in this way. Did he knowingly act on their behalf, or was he a puppet?
So now that we know that the whole Jay-Z empire is beginning to crumble, I'm not too sure how much time they have left. The word on the street is that they're trying to tie up loose ends, which is why they brought property in the United Kingdom to move to England, darling. So they're trying to get out of America, because I guess if everything comes out with Jay-Z, there's any problems, indictments, there's also a lot of rumors around them being a part of the Epstein class and all these different things. They kind of trying to make moves to get out of the way. That's just word on the street, allegedly. So yeah, is there any kind of foggy news about anything going on with the Carters? He's bringing out Beyonce to do a song or two. And with the concert that he just had, that he filled the Yankee Stadium over, he brought up Beyonce, he brought up Rihanna, and I thought that Rihanna had retired. They brought her out. I don't know if she had time to work out, to practice, but it looks like a very hurried performance, and getting her out there to sing. And a lot of people had a problem with Rihanna's performance, because they were like, okay, always loved her singing, but has she always sounded the way she did sound? Because she sounded flat, pitchy, I don't know. But then again, Tiana Taylor was also brought on to sing in Jay-Z's concert, and her mic was off. Beyonce's mic was off. Like, I don't know what's going on with the sound and mic people, but they were saying like sound was not good. So if there was any deficits, well, it definitely caught that. Now, it could be that Rihanna has always sung that way. She's maybe a better studio recording artist as opposed to a live singer. Those are two different things. And so that also probably exposes the fact that now that she's singing after not performing for the last 10 years and all that stuff, and that long break she had, I don't know how fine-tuned her voice is. So there could be also a lot of reason for those changes, but it could be better, because a lot of people remember when Rihanna was in her high day, how good her performances were. And so a lot of people kept comparing that, and they felt that Rihanna's performance could be better. Maybe she should not have come out at all. They are dragging Rihanna up and down the internet over her performance, saying, girl, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that album either. Just go sit down with the children. Just go sit down. Don't worry about it. And there's some sort of disappointment. But, that's how it is when you have fans. They know you a certain way, and after a long hiatus, you come back very different, which they understand. But at the same time, they're always going to compare her to her earlier performances, because, hasn't been singing for a long time. And she said that on the stage. Guys, I'm rusty. Hey, he's pulling out all the stops because everything is getting crazy right now. I don't want to make the video too long at a time. So I wanted, to kind of in the next video about what the moves are, what the attempted moves are for the Carter family. Now that things are kind of a bit, their popularity is going down. Black people are at a very different space right now in 2026. We are done with idolatry. We're done with celebrities. We're not getting treated. Things are getting worse. Everything wants to be taken back to the antebellum times and Jim Crow. We have no time. And when we put boycotts on things, we stick to the boycotts, because right now the Black community has decided to do a boycott, a blackout, and a transfer of wealth to our pockets and to each other. And so right now it is very difficult for a lot of these celebrities to keep up their relevance, because they have always been standing in the gap of our progress, which is why Jay-Z and Beyonce are finding difficulties as they have now. Jay-Z cannot even have a concert on his own. He's got to bring like 15 people to kind of things interesting, because he's never been a one-man show. He's always had to collabo with Beyonce. Every time there's problems, watch him bring out all the other family members. And then Tina Knowles is at the back stirring some witch's brew, stirring up something, see what she can sell. Some more of that, I don't know what she was selling the last time. Anyway, we'll see you on the next video. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of this failing empire? Is the end coming soon, or is there a whole lot more? And are you still supporting these artists as before?